This is Inside the Americas. Welcome, everyone. Here's what's coming up for you today. Desperate Venezuelans on the border with Colombia are searching for ways to cope with the currency crisis as the country is on the verge of collapse. Donald Trump has journalists tearing their hair out as the U.S. president-elect sidesteps traditional press conferences for tweets. And Hollywood mourns the death of its first ever It Girl. Hungarian actress and socialite Zsa Zsa Gabor has died, aged 99. I'm Jeannie Godula. Well, let's start first with this astonishing image out of Mexico. A massive gray cloud was caused by a series of huge explosions at a fireworks market. The site in a suburb of Mexico City had been packed at the time with customers getting ready for the holidays. Some 30 people were killed and 70 hurt when the blasts gutted what was once the biggest fireworks market in the country. It took fire crews 3 hours to bring the blazes under control. Time now for Inside the Americas number of the week, 500. That's as in the new 500 bolivar note that arrived in Venezuela. Those bills are being rushed in to replace the 100 bolivar notes that are due to be pulled out in January, the latest attempt by the government to crack down on the currency crisis. The Venezuelan president says mafias abroad are hoarding the banknotes to suffocate the economy. He also closed Venezuela's borders 10 days ago, but went back on that decision again this week, allowing thousands of people to cross into Colombia to buy much-needed medicine and food. Josh Vardey explains.
Desperate Venezuelans on the border with Colombia hoping to cross and pick up the vital medical supplies and food unavailable to them in their own country. Venezuela's currency crisis now threatens the country with total economic, political and social collapse.
What I see is that the children are suffering the most. The mothers with these children in the hot sun. It's just tremendous chaos. I ask my God to help us to fix all of this.
President Nicolás Maduro had ordered the border closed, but it was reopened after pressure from the Colombian government.
Last night I had a conversation with President Maduro. We exchanged opinions. I told him that in our view nobody benefited from the closure of the border, neither Venezuela nor Colombia. And so why not make an effort to open the border, which has happened this morning.
Maduro said he closed the borders to curb the black market of 100 bolivar notes deemed to be part of an international conspiracy against Venezuela's oil-dependent economy. The already near-worthless note was withdrawn from circulation and 6 new higher-denomination notes introduced. The move provoked chaos, with an epidemic of looting and violence erupting across the country, not to mention the vast queues outside banks of people trying to exchange their currency. Opposition politicians have united in calling for Maduro to step down.
We demand the person responsible for this political, economic and social collapse, namely Nicolás Maduro, leave the Miraflores palace. We demand that Venezuela enjoys freedom, justice and above all opportunity for young people.
Faced with a further descent into crisis, Maduro decided to reverse his previous decision and keep the 100 bolivar note in circulation at least until the beginning of January. This was to allow for the new 500 bolivar note to be put into circulation. When the delivery of these new notes was delayed, Maduro blamed Venezuela's old enemy, the United States, saying that the gringos had bought key people in key places to allegedly hurt the people. Meanwhile, Maduro sits at the helm of one of the world's most oil-rich countries on the verge of economic meltdown. Venezuela has reached this point after suffering years of mismanagement. Maduro's style of governance often seems to have hindered rather than helped recovery.
Let's take a look now at some of the big stories this week out of the U.S. President Barack Obama made a move to beef up his legacy on the environment before leaving office next month. He's just made most of the U.S.-owned waters in the Arctic indefinitely off-limits to oil and gas leasing. That's an area bigger than the entire state of California. In theory, pro-oil President-elect Donald Trump will not be able to revoke that decision without an act of Congress. And while Trump may have won the presidential vote last November, he was just officially elected this week. A planned revolt among the Electoral College fizzled, handing him a victory that was much more mundane than his opponents had hoped for. Despite the thousands of calls and emails and the protests, only 2 Republican electors ended up voting against Trump. And Michelle Obama gave an in-depth interview to TV host Oprah Winfrey this week. In that frank talk, the First Lady put to rest any hope her fans might have of her own political career, saying it would just be too hard on her family. Michelle Obama was a vocal supporter of Hillary Clinton during the campaign, and while she said the election loss was painful, she confirmed both she and her husband will support the Trump administration. Well, Donald Trump is gearing up to be a very different president than his predecessors. He's already playing by his own rules in many areas, including his relationship with the press. Trump has not held one press conference since his election last November, and he continues to rely on Twitter as his communication tool of choice. Well, that's left many journalists' questions still unanswered as they prepare to cover a man wary of their very existence. Julia Seeger reports.
Continuing to break from tradition, Donald Trump has not held a press conference since he was elected president. His distrust of news outlets is no secret, painting all media in the same negative light.
People back there, the extremely dishonest press. We have exposed the credibility of the press. They have the lowest credibility of anybody.
At age 23, Trey Yingst is one of the youngest White House correspondents. During the campaign, his conservative news channel, One America News, interviewed Donald Trump, and Yingst hopes to interview him again. But in the meantime, he's in the same boat as the rest of the world's media. He says he can only rely on Twitter and Trump's communications team for information.
He has a call every morning with his top communications people, and reporters can hop on that call and they can ask questions directly to his communications people. Once he gets into the White House, we can hope that these transition calls turn into daily press briefings so that we're able to ask questions.
While presidential hostility to the media didn't begin with Trump, political pundits in Washington are uneasy. They're trying to ready themselves to navigate uncharted waters.
President-elect Trump seems to like to communicate directly with his supporters. That seems to be the way he thinks about getting out a message, which is to talk directly to individuals rather than to frame a big message that then gets carried by the media. It's really almost the media scrambling to keep up with his tweets.
Throughout the campaign, U.S. TV networks did not officially endorse either candidate, unlike newspapers, the majority of which backed Clinton. The Republican candidate and his conservative supporters, however, seem to have a clear preference for one specific channel.
Fox News.
When Bill O'Reilly is on, he's giving you the facts. He's not spinning things.
The Fox News network seems to be the most truthful of them all. CNN sucks.
Extreme right-wing news website Breitbart was one of the few outlets that overtly supported Donald Trump during the race. Its former executive, Steve Bannon, has since been chosen to be the president-elect's chief strategist, and the website has seen considerable growth. And as Trey and other correspondents wait for more information from the incoming administration, the president-elect's chief of staff has suggested the Trump team may abandon the daily press briefings, a key source of information for journalists until now.
Also this week in the U.S., Hollywood mourned its original It girl, Zsa Zsa Gabor. The Hungarian actress and socialite died aged 99, just a few months shy of her 100th birthday. Gabor was married 9 times throughout her life and basically created the kind of jet-set flamboyance later brought to perfection by her great niece, Paris Hilton. Our Catherine Clifford takes a look back.
Zsa Zsa Gabor led a long, glamorous and diamond-studded life of 99 years. Born in Hungary in 1917, she moved to the US with her 2 sisters, also performers, in the 1930s. Going from beauty queen to millionaire's wife to minor film actress, she appeared in over 70 films, including the likes of Public Enemy No. 1 and A Naked Gun. But it was her own celebrity character that made her a household name, a fame she maintained throughout her life as a TV personality.
You have no idea how many phone calls I'm getting each day. The whole world is calling me. Television shows, films, I'm writing a book. You have no idea how much I work. I think there's no other person in the world who works this much, probably not even the US president.
Over the years, she made her way through 9 husbands and was well known for her share-all wisdom on men.
That's a wonderful exercise if you want to strengthen your legs for your unfaithful husband, lover, lawyer, doctor.
Gabor's larger-than-life character also attracted its fair share of scandal, landing her in jail for 3 days when she slapped a police officer who pulled over her Rolls-Royce.
It's simple, darling.
Calling everyone darling because she said she couldn't remember their names, Gabor was best known for her one-liners on TV talk shows, such as, "I'm a great housekeeper, I divorce men and I keep their houses."
Her greatest successes have always been in television. In a chat show, she would come out with real good things and real clever things which the whole of the US would relish. She became a real icon.
Zsa Zsa Gabor was widely seen as the first it girl, the first to be famous simply for being famous.
Well, we'll leave you now with a little Christmas cheer from Peru. Just like every year there, the Peruvian National Police Squad dressed up to go spread some holiday joy. And yes, there was even Santa Claus. Well, that wraps up this Inside the Americas. A very Merry Christmas to you if you celebrate it, and we'll see you again next time for all the news from north to south.